In the last episode of America is Egypt, I presented the question, who built the pyramids? Was it slaves or Egyptians, like many of the scholars declare, built over decades of forced human labor? Was it the Anunnaki, the Aeneid, or maybe it was the ancient aliens? According to Herodotus, the father of Greek history, he was told it took over 20 years and 100,000 men to build the Great Pyramid at Giza. Did you know that accredited Egyptologists of the highest institutions consider Herodotus a legitimate historical resource? Now I know what you're thinking. Who the fuck is Herodotus? And even if you actually know who Hero.us is, you're thinking, how the fuck, and possibly, why the fuck would Herodotus be damn near the only person throughout history to document the construction of the pyramids in over 4,000 years? But it gets better. Herodotus lived a mere 2,000 years after the construction of the pyramids. At this point, it's understandable if you'd want to contact Sway and ask him how.
How, Sway?
Cause ain't no way, boy. Ain't no way, boy.
Boy, ain't no way, boy. Boy, ain't no way, boy. Boy, ain't no way, boy. Boy, ain't no fuck.
When we turn our attention to chronology, too many questions arise about how could anyone build these pyramids given our accepted knowledge of human technology of the past? The so-called experts of Egyptian history propose everything possible inside the Stone Age box of hypotheses. However, if something can't be explained within their doctrines of acceptance, it is immediately tagged by the greater institutions and scribes of academia as pseudo. Yet one could simply ask the question, how solid is their foundation of evidence? To let them tell it, they are the gospel when it comes to ancient Egyptian history. And to that I say,
we ain't make those anchors, we ain't plot those grave sites up since daylight, burdened by the things we try to make right. It's gonna be a late night, so much turmoil makes my blood boil. Kundalini encore, earth is sunbroad, dirt is unsoiled. With one chord, tell a story that some spoil. Watch it unfold, stories untold, copyright unsold. Books with one spine, ghosts with one soul. They want control, you want control, but we share one goal. We fight one foe, Satchel front door, and it keeps knocking, but the people kept rocking, yeah. And it keeps knocking, but the people kept rocking, yeah. Stop, flex, whatever they do, they can't stop, keeps knocking, keep rocking, yeah, yeah. They can't stop us, no, no, nah, they can't stop us, no, no, they can't stop us.
For all that profile shit, partner, you should be paying me a fee.
Boy, ain't no way, boy. Boy, ain't no way, boy.
are the most readily answered questions when it comes to the construction of the pyramids. But the how question is not so simple.
How, Sway?
Who? The Egyptians are the people most presumed by the scholars, although opinions vary on the type of Egyptian who was actually used in the construction. Were they slaves as proposed by the frontline Fugays, or were they skilled laborers as proposed by the scout team Tartif? Or were they aliens, Anunnaki gods as proposed by the New Age left? What were they? Pyramids. When? 4,700 years ago. There are a growing number of people who believe the pyramids are over 100,000 years old and possibly even older. Where? Egypt. A wonder of the world long abandoned and forgotten for nearly 2,000 years, without so much as a book written about them throughout the recent history of time. That is, of course, until the French started writing books in the 1800s. And no, Herodotus, Diodorus, or even Josephus quotes do not count as books. Why were they built? Royal tombs constructed for pharaohs is the most common answer given as to why. Egyptologists are nearly in universal agreement in this assertion, and often cite evidence relating to the discovery of sarcophagi and supposedly royal mummies beneath its foundation for this reasoning. Although skeptics push back and say no actual mummies were found within the Great Pyramid. Within this pocket, there is a growing crowd of people who believe alternative theories for the pyramid's construction, including them being ley line energy vortexes or even satellite communication devices used to contact the Anunnaki aliens. How were they built? With chisels and rocks. This is what they want us to believe. They made this by doing this. And if you believe this, you must be smoking this. The first problem with the first question of who is the Egyptian is whose definition of an Egyptian are we using? Black's Law Dictionary's definition of an Egyptian? The historian's depiction of an Egyptian? The modern depiction of an Egyptian? The ancient genome of buried Egyptian corpses? Or something else? All of these definitions would describe different Egyptians. As quoted by Henry James Breasted in Season 1, Episode 4.
In 1905, Breasted wrote that studying early burials in Egypt had, quote, produced such a diversity of opinion among physical anthropologists as to render it impossible for the historian to obtain decisive results from their researches, end quote. In 1916, in Ancient Times, he sensibly described modern peasants in the Delta as both brown and as descendants of ancient Egyptians. The brown label sidestepped the insistence of many white Americans that except for American Indians and East Asians, you had to be either black or white.
The fascination around the pyramids have birthed many myths. The Hebrew myth has become popular recently. The theory that the ancient Hebrews built the pyramids during Joseph's time in Egypt. In general, most historians don't give this theory much credence because solid evidence of either cannot be historically or physically substantiated. In fact, unto this day, scholars say there is no evidence that Hebrews even lived in Egypt, even though Egypt and Israel are supposedly neighbors. That's like saying no Mexicans are in Texas. Unless Hebrews never lived in Palestine. Never mind. Forget I said it.
You anti bastard.